Senator Steve Daines joining us live from Capitol Hill on the phone lines. Senator, great to have you this morning.
Hey, good morning, Aaron. Good to be with you.
Yeah, great to be with you. First off, your reaction to these attacks from the Islamo-fascist regime in Tehran yesterday.
Well, first of all, a big thanks, and we are thankful this morning that really those failed missile shots the Iranians threw at us last night did not harm anybody, and we're grateful there were no casualties. Just another reminder, Aaron, as somebody like yourself who wears the uniform, thanking our brave men and women who are serving over there in harm's way to protect us. If we think about what happened last night, 15 missiles launched. 10 were launched at the Al-Assad base there north and west of Baghdad. One at Erbil, which is in northern Iraq. That's where the Kurds are. In fact, I was at that base, Aaron, back in 2015, and watched literally live, looking at the aerial intelligence we had, watching our forces taking out ISIS targets. It was one of those moments I'll never forget. Had a tear in my eye watching the U.S. military operating with such excellence, taking out ISIS terrorists who were launching RPGs that particular day at innocent women and children. But that's what's going up in Erbil. There was one missile up there, did not harm anybody. And then 4 of those missiles, Aaron, best of what the reports we're hearing this morning, they failed. And so it was really a failed attack by the Iranians. But let's not forget why. Why were they shooting missiles at us? It was a retaliation to what President Trump did, taking out Soleimani. He is the al-Baghdadi or the Osama bin Laden of Iran. And I'm just perplexed, Aaron, looking at the Democrats who are almost like apologizing for this. This guy is a terrorist war criminal, Aaron, and I am thankful we have a president who wakes up every morning as commander-in-chief protecting us and doing the right thing to keep us safe, and that what President Trump did was exactly the right thing. The United States and President Trump, by the way, I think reminded the world around who is the superpower, and that comes back to this fundamental principle of peace through strength. Tell you what, the Iranians are shaking in their boots because they are very worried about what could happen to them if they cross certain lines.
Yeah, and I think nobody wants war with Iran. I think we see that President Trump here is doing everything in his power to deter a war with Iran. But now we're seeing some response from congressional Democrats to try to tie President Trump's hands and limit his ability to respond to their aggression and their attacks. And to me, that risks placing Americans being stuck just as sitting ducks. And so we don't want war with Iran, but we also don't want our folks being sitting ducks to continue to suffer under these attacks either.
Here's the problem with the Democrats doing with these resolutions. It actually would embolden the Iranians to attack us. By tying the hands of the president, it weakens our hand and would create, I think, greater risk that a war could start. And so the reason the Iranians are concerned about any significant retaliation is because they know if they do, the wrath of the U.S. military will be after them, and that comes back to peace through strength. President Trump had authority to strike Soleimani. This was an imminent threat. He is a terrorist. There's a reason he was flying from Syria back to Baghdad that night. We had good intel, thanks to some of our allies as well as U.S. intelligence. We took him out without any civilian casualties because it was an imminent threat to the U.S. Let's not forget, though, this threat from Iran goes back to 1979 when they had hostages in the embassy in Tehran. So this is the largest sponsor of terrorism in the world. This is Hezbollah in Lebanon is Iranian. Hamas in the Gaza Strip is Iranian. This is a terrorist regime, and I am proud of the president for taking action, really to take the key thought leader out when Soleimani there we did on New Year's.
Well, I just hope that our elected officials can unite and stand together. In fact, Dr. Mehrdad Kia from the University of Montana even made this point that the Islamic regime, the Islamo-fascist regime in Tehran, will try to take advantage of disunity in America to try to attack America, and which leads us to impeachment and the effort to take down President Trump that's been going on for 3+ years now. I know you joined an effort along with a handful of other senators to look. Nancy Pelosi is still holding on to these articles of impeachment. You're saying, look, time to just dismiss the charges and move on back to the business of the American people.
Well, hey, they've been obsessed with this since before the election. It's crazy. And remember, they said it was urgent. They said the president is a national security threat. Good grief. If he's such a national security threat, well, then give us the articles of impeachment so we can dispose of them. It's been 21 days since the House passed those articles. She now has cold feet, Pelosi does, and I introduced a resolution to update the Senate rules, and it says simply this: if Pelosi in the House doesn't send the articles to us within 25 days, then we can dismiss it. My bottom line message to Pelosi is put up or shut up, send it or end it. It's time to get back to work for Montana and the American people.
Yeah, on another front, some good news out of Washington yesterday. In fact, we were able to announce the news live during the show. The Senate Finance Committee, you were there. You voted in support. The USMCA, the U.S.-Mexico-Canada Trade Agreement, earned the endorsement of the Senate Finance Committee. When do you expect it to go to the full Senate floor for a vote?
Well, this is good news for our country. It's good news for Montana agriculture. Think about for a moment, Aaron, what the president has been doing here for agriculture. We took the Japan deal and got that done in October. I was there, as you remember, with Fred Wacker. It was a great moment for Montana. The Mexico-Canada trade deal here, we approved that at the Finance Committee, 25-3, great bipartisan vote. I expect that will get to the floor of the Senate very soon, assuming the Democrats don't give us the impeachment articles. Now, if the Democrats send the impeachment articles to us, that's going to tie up the Senate probably for several weeks, and that's one of the casualties, frankly, of impeachment. We'll eventually get that done. We get that done probably next week if they don't move the articles of impeachment forward. But also next week, Aaron, I've been invited to come down to the White House with President Trump with that Phase 1 deal with China is going to happen on the 15th. That's the word. And they're going to have Chinese leaders here in the U.S. The president asked me to come and be part of that ceremony because I've been very active fighting on behalf of Montana agriculture with the Chinese leaders and getting a better deal here, better access for our products. It's the second largest beef market in the world for us. And so these are all good things that are happening. The problem is the Democrats are getting in the way right now of this impeachment.